Hey, good day, everybody. Good afternoon, good morning, where some of you may be. Listen, today it is a very special day. Outside of just God allowing us to wake up and see another brand new day with new mercies and new grace, I'm sitting down with one of the most famous, one of the most admired voices in the world, a friend, a brother, just a great all-around guy, Mr. Alvin Chea of Take.
Thanks so much, Jeff. Yeah, brother.
Listen. This has been definitely something that I've been looking forward to, getting a chance to sit down with you and talk with you.
Me too, bro.
From about the background, the formal training, the grooming, all that type of stuff, outside of just admiring the voice.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I'll say before we get started, I remember first hearing when you guys did The Grinch.
Right.
At the time, my oldest son, I know he's watching now, so I'm not going to embarrass him too much. But we were in the car driving, and when you started out with "You're the mean one, Mr. Grinch," he just took that slogan, and for about 2 to 3 weeks, he was just running around, "You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch," and it was funny because it was like, out of everything. And he's a kid, so he doesn't have the bass voice or whatever, but
right.
that impression just stuck with him for about 3 weeks, and it was like, wow. And every now and then I tease him. I remember, yeah, Dad, I used to say that, yeah. But I mean, your voice has left an impression.
Amen, bro.
People all over the world. Let's talk about the background.
Sure.
Where did Alvin Chea get started in music?
I started in San Francisco playing classical piano. I was just another one of these kids at recitals, playing my, Bach inventions and Chopin and the sonatas and sonatinas. And the funny thing is, I was studying with a guy named Sir Jules Haywood in San Francisco, and had gotten really good really quickly. And by the time I got to my 8th grade year, I was playing in the San Francisco War Memorial, which was their original classical opera house. But the secret was I couldn't read. I was able to watch him, my piano teacher, go through the rudiments, and I was able to kind of remember what he did and figure out a little bit of what I was seeing. But there came a humbling moment when, like, the day after I played at the Opera House, and it was my big arrival. And then the next day at church, they asked me to play a simple hymn to accompany the congregation, and I'm playing, playing. I didn't know what I was doing, and my mom said, "All right, that's it." She took me out of that experience and started me all over again. And there's like and I'm in there, 8th grade, I started to shoot up in height, and I'm in there with 2nd graders. Dun, 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 dun. And I'm so glad she did. It was the most humbling experience I've ever been through. But now I am able to know what I'm talking about. I'm able to do sessions at home. I did something yesterday for Disney. I'm able to get out here and represent the body of information that people know I do actually know. And so that's where I started, and then came all the way up through Oakwood, and started singing my senior year in high school. By the time I got to Oakwood, I was singing and knew I had a bass voice and had memorized the Alliance record. And the guys got signed in 87, and been with them ever since.
Wow. And that's important, that you highlighted the fact of, you have so many musicians out here who they start out with an ear.
Right.
Especially guys in church.
Yeah.
Reading is not pushed automatically to you. It's just, get up there and pick it up. And if you pick it up, if you can follow, if you can flow, most of the time you can carry yourself.
Yes.
But it's the other aspect of when you walk out of that church building.
Right.
Let's say you go to an audition for something off Broadway or on Broadway.
Right.
They're not going to play it first and then say, okay, you got that. That's a 6. That's a 4.
Right.
They're not going to do that. They're going to sit the score in front of you.
Yeah, and you
measure 29.
Exactly. And it's not a question of, the beautiful thing, I've seen it from both ends. Now, I came up and there were so many people in the traditional conservative faith that I came up in that everybody read and very few played by ear. Mm-hmm. By the time I got to college, it was the exact opposite. Most people played by ear. Very few people read. Both can be exposed.
Yes.
The difference is when you play by ear, you know what the conversation is. Yes. We're talking about blue. Don't talk to me about anything in green. We're talking about blue. Stay in blue. You like blue is fine. Aurelian blue is fine. Navy blue is fine. But blue is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But when you're playing by sight, when you're seeing it, like these are the specific words I need you to say in blue. I don't need you to talk about Royal Navy right now. Everybody is in this shade of blue, this light blue. Stay right there. And so both are appropriate at the right time, and it just allows you to work more often and to work in a more complete way when you can understand both conversations.
Yes, and that's very important. Again, with you having, the faith background, Seventh-day Adventist. Again, I've had a few friends that were Seventh-day Adventist, and they were very strict when it came to education, not just from a musical point, but even from a theological point.
Absolutely.
Furthered themselves, educated themselves, and that was, I guess, one of the few denominations where I had the liberty of doing what I do musically, because at that time, you can go to this friend over here, Baptist Church or Apostolic Church, and just fall in.
Right.
It wasn't that when I went to my friend's church that was Seventh-day Adventist, they pulled out that hymn book.
Exactly.
Like, all right, brother, 239. I was like, wait a minute.
We're in G, and this is how it goes. Yeah,
exactly. And it was funny because it would be some mother or some deacon in the congregation, that afterwards would come and say, you didn't hit that chord correctly, and they would come over and hit it and walk away. And I'm like, y'all already got people that could play. The fact it was the education that you can go on ahead and actually combine with just the natural gift.
Absolutely.
Tell us about Oakwood University. That is the place, the breeding ground for what the world knows today as Take 6. Tell us about that intro.
Oakwood is unlike any other place on the planet. Now, you talk about having mothers in the church that can come up and play a chord. Oakwood, I've never been to a place before or since where an artist can release a project on Tuesday, and by Friday, somebody at school or on campus is performing that song way better than the artist.
Wow.
2 days later, 3 days later, they got it down. I'm talking about an arrangement. CC Winans would come out with something that remembering so well the day da. Man, there were people slaying that 3 days later. By the second weekend, it was done. It was completely done. Oakwood was such a rich, amazing mind field of epic talent. It was crazy. Still to this day, Little Richard, who just passed, is being buried at Oakwood. Shalea Frazier came out of Oakwood. Brian McKnight came out of Oakwood. We came out of Oakwood. Wintley Phipps came out of Oakwood. Tiffany Palmer. There's so many people. DeJuan Starling. There's so many people that Chris Willis that just came out of, and all of these people are superstars. Not all of them have had a meteoric rise, but if you ever gave them the opportunity to stand on that stage, you were like, whoa. So saying all that to say, when I first got to Oakwood, there were so many groups there. That literally all the other bases on campus were already in a group. That's why I think I actually got a shot to sing with Alliance, which later became Take 6. There were that many guys. It was like, oh, he's new. What do you do? I'm like, I can sing. And they were, do you know the project? Yeah, I know the Lions project. And they, they tried it, and it worked. So, but bro, there was been, and historically, I mean, our parents sang together in groups. Our grandparents started choirs. It's just that much of a rich history, and on and on. And in fact, my daughter just graduated 2 weekends ago from there. She's the first third generation Take Sixer that has come out.
Wow! Congratulations on that. Congratulations. And it's just amazing again. With what the world knows, that was formerly Alliance, but now Take Six. And originally, with you guys, I remember the first time I heard the Gold Mine Project.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what is this? Not cool, but what is it? Because you had the windings, and they gave you the harmonies and melodies and all that, like okay, and commissioned, and it was like okay, and you had quartet, and it was like okay, but a sextet, group, you have 6 guys who not just the sounds, but just the duplication with some of the instruments that you guys were doing, and it's like outside of your voice, I think my man from the Temptations,
Melvin, absolutely,
Melvin is like you hear him doing a Solid Night and whatnot, and then now you hear you guys, and I'm like, what? Wait, what is this? Because you guys just cosmically, from a music point of view, gave just a different color.
Thank you.
Wonderful language of music. Tell us what it was like, your first recording.
Oh man, it was such a learning curve. First of all, it took a lot longer than I was expecting, or the engineer is expecting, or anything like that. It was such a different experience. When we started, these guys were pioneers in so many different ways. You got to remember how young they were. But we wouldn't just get in the studio and just record, just around the mic and go. Everybody had their own track, and everybody would stack to that track. So you would hear, a doubling of everything. But even in that, we recorded to a click. Okay. And we recorded to a guide track so that our tempo was consistent and our tuning was consistent, and that allowed us to be able to have a template and a road guide that kept us a lot tighter than most of the groups that were they'd be good, but they weren't dead on. We were always dead on. Yeah. And then and we recorded in teams. The guys that would do the pad would come in first. And literally that meant I sat in the lobby for 4 or 5 days, just waiting for them to be done with the pad to like David and Goliath. I'm just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And I'm a student. I drove up 2 hours from Huntsville to come up to Nashville. Sometimes I would come up, I wouldn't even record. Then finally I would get in the studio and then record my thing for 2 days, maybe 3 days, especially at the beginning, and then the lead would come in. So there was a big learning curve, and a lot that we had to work on and learn. I had to learn how to memorize these big phrases when I didn't know what the arrangement was. Mark would say, all right, your next thing, I would hear, all right, record that. No. It's having to remember this. All right, you finally got it. Now do it twice. Do it again. You got to stack it. And we would do, we would have to do. So now fast forward all the way to 2020, when I have my setup here, and I have the ability to print out the charts or whatever. And those guys are in their houses doing their tunes, and I don't have to wait. We can all do it at the same time. And I'm knocking out songs in an hour, versus 2 weeks. So it's a whole different thing. But that's what it was like. It was just a lot of learning, a lot of patience, a lot of learning, mastering your craft. There's certain things now that there's a guy that I work with. He's a producer. He does a TV show, and he says, "I love working with Alvin. He never makes mistakes." I'm like, that's not true, but I've been doing this so long, and I've been dealing with Merv's ears and Mark's ears and Cedric's ears, hearing every little minor. You have to be instantly tuned. There's no dum, no. There's a dum 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 dum, all of that stuff. So it really in the trenches taught me, so that now, thank you God, I can just roll through stuff.
And you touched on it, which I did want to talk about how you guys work together, with the arrangements. And, we know that, two of the former members, originally Merv Warren and Cedric Dent, phenomenal, musical minds and talents.
Geniuses.
Yes. And how was that with, you having these musical geniuses around you, and they're feeding you, and you're having to absorb all of that, and then now we're just giving you the realm to which it's your world and you operate. How is that experience?
It was great, and it was not so great certain times, because we were all young and we were all insecure, and they were trying to find their own way even amongst themselves. Merv had one way of processing. If he was left, I think he's probably left brain, and I think Mark is right brain. I don't know which one is the logical approach versus the artistic approach, but they were definitely from two different schools, both brilliant.
Yeah.
And so even between the two of them, just candidly, there was a little looking over the shoulder, and they were trying to help each other, but they were trying to also, there was a competition going on. And so you would come and work with one guy and he would try to do something, and then you work with the other guy and he would try to do something else. So, but I think, iron sharpens iron, and I think they helped each other get to a whole nother level, so that years later, I mean, we're talking 30 years later, there's still that project is still a pioneering landmark project that basically restarted the a cappella movement in the world.
Yes, because you have that project, but then with so much to say,
right?
That's let me ask you about that song, because I've said, and when I say put in, I would say at least 1,000 hours of listening and trying to dissect. When I tell you, I've not yet heard a song where it was, such dead on. The breathing, the enunciation, the dictation, the crescendos. How difficult was it, not just recording that song, but just practicing? Because I've heard you all do it live different times, different jazz fests, all around the world. But that song still sticks out to me as, one of the flagships of an a cappella group. So much to say. Tell me about that.
I remember when they played it for me, it was Cedric and I think Merv and probably Mark. That time they were really starting to work on stuff together. And was Merv in the group then? Yeah, I guess he was. And I remember when they were playing it for me, I was like, these guys are crazy. We won't be able to do that. I was like, oh, no way. And it was a tour de force. And I remember we started working on it. And it just we just kind of grinded on it and grinded on it and grinded on it, and eventually we got it. I remember, if you could be the dun dun the dun the dun the dun dun the dun the dun the dun dun dun. Okay, again. The dun the dun the dun dun the dun the dun the dun dun the dun the dun the dun dun dun. Okay, again. The dun the dun the dun dun the dun the dun the dun dun the dun the dun the dun the dun. And we every phrase we put together and put together and put together, and to be sure we had to make sure we had our enunciation together and our breathing together, and it was that moment. It was that tour de force kind of thing. And now when we perform it, when I hear the original recording, it sounds slow to me. Yeah, it actually sounds slow to me. We perform it live we've cut, diced, and sliced that song so many different ways, and remixed it and have it in the thing that it's all a muscle memory. But it was, again, tried in the fire, learning stuff the hard way, and so that later it seems easy.
Wow. And again, I remember the first time hearing it. I said these guys are musical aliens. First of all, to just the syncopation of it. I'm like, and then again, the enunciation, the clarity, the dictation of it, the crescendo. I said, you know what? I don't know what these boys is on, but can we get a portion of that at the local church? Because it was just mind blowing. It was.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
You brought up currently, and you just said yesterday you did something for Disney. Let's talk about when Mr. Alvin Chea is not the bass man of Take Six per se. What other type of projects? I've had the privilege to listening and researching you, so I know, but I want the audience to hear it from you. I'll just give them a hint. The baby back ribs.
Right.
One of the things that you're infamous for, but what are some of the other projects that
God, first of all, giving all praise and honor to God.
Amen.
I have found a way to, if you think about what it is I do, I should be the most unemployed man in America. I sing the bass for a 6-part a cappella gospel jazz band. And I don't even sing lyrics usually. Usually my extent of my resume is doom, 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 ba doom, ba doom, 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 ba doom, doom. And, but I've been blessed to be able to work on some of the most amazing projects. I work in Hollywood all the time as, one of the A-list session cats. I do things with Disney all the time. And Fox and just so many different studios. I was the one of the underscore vocalists for the show Lion Guard that just ended. It was like the grandson of Lion King, and I worked on Glee. That intro. I did the baby back ribs commercial. I did campaign. I'm the campaign, Goldfish campaign now. Snack that smiles back. Goldfish. That's me.
All right.
I do Illustra Media's, all their documentary voiceover work. Right back to this station over here. Those guys, those are my work dogs. I do, every once in a while, I'll release something piano vocal thing. And that's sometimes done by this guy in that station there. And, my composing stuff happens here. And so just so many different things. I just did this thing with this cat named Dan Perkins. He's an amazing cat. We just did 101, the old Hall of Notes tune. I work with a group called Cleanup Crew. We're doing something, getting ready to release something really funny. And basically, it's like this. I serve a risen Savior. There's some new manna that he pours out on me every day. I come down to the studio, and there is something to do every single day. So this is day, let's see, we're about maybe 60, 65, or I guess into the thing. I've worked probably 63 days. Something to do, and I've got my light set up, because there's generally a video to do at the end of the recording session day. Just so much. I can't even remember. I actually have a file. I'll do it this way. I'll do it this way. All right. Let's see if you can see what's over here. Let's get rid of this. Okay. I don't know if you can see these square boxes here.
Yeah.
You see this?
Yeah.
Every single one of these is a different project. Every single one of these is a different thing that they've contacted me to do. I got a Hey 19 track or something for a guy named Thomas Anderson's coming through. Star Spangled Banner. This is the Disney project. A guy named Vachi. Rise. This is something my son did. Clint Holmes thing. There's Nobody. Life Project 101. Every one of these, all the way over here, is something that's just been completed or on the docket to be completed. So I'm very, very blessed, very, very blessed. And another thing that's taught me is I have our engineer Tony Huerta taught me a lot, and Tony Shepard taught me a lot on Pro Tools. Now I fly on this thing. I'm cut, paste, fade in, merge, upload, gone. Okay, they want to hear my effects. Bounce track, send, go. Generate music video track. All right, move to the video station, set it up, go. Upload, Dropbox, go. What's next? So, it's I don't have time to sit around freaking out about this changing world and how, my entire industry has imploded and all that kind of stuff. I got to work. Yeah. So you just keep it moving. My favorite quote is leap and the net will appear. You just go and your way out will be there.
And you know what? I'm glad you said that, because so many people now during this pandemic have been somewhat shell-shocked or frightened as far as, okay, life will never be what it was. This new normal, what am I supposed to do? And at the end of the day, like you said, outside of, first of all, realizing that God gives you daily manna. Right. Okay? Daily manna. So for each day that he allows you to breathe his breath, he gives you what you need for that day. But enough, like you said, leap. I remember Steve Harvey did something where he was talking in between one of his segments on his television show, and he was talking about, just leaping, and the thing with leaping is, of course you can always stay on a ledge. Yeah. Right. But you've been there. Right. As long as your feet is planted and you're staying on a ledge, there's no growth. It's no newness to it. Every day you stay on that ledge, the only thing that's going to happen, you're going to start to develop moss. Right. Right. But if you leap, look at the possibility of where you can go. Yeah. Because you can never even think about flying. Yeah. When you first leap. Absolutely. True. Yeah. So I mean, that's amazing. Let's talk a little bit. You talked about the voice and piano. When you're not singing bass, whether it's Pick Six or anything else, for most of the stuff you do, and again, I've pulled up some of your stuff where you're singing and your tenor. To me, it's just as amazing. And just as rich as your bass regiment. What do you listen to inspire you? I love Donny Hathaway. I love Marvin Winans. I love Stevie, Al Jarreau. Those guys that have that gorgeous thing. They don't have to do a bunch of tricks and a lot of just their approach. There's a guy I grew up listening to that probably no one has ever heard of. He's probably got the most gorgeous instrument. He just never really launched. Is Anthony Wiggum. Tootsie. He grew up in the Bay Area, and if you ever listen to this guy, he's just got this natural, just gorgeous voice. And so those are the guys I listen to. And it's funny, when I do my lead stuff or my step outs, it's more, I have more control up high,
your cycles are slower when you're down in the baritone and bass range. It's really hard to control. But I could do a lot of fun stuff up high. I just have to make sure I'm warmed up, and that's where I'm comfortable up there. But when I put on my work hat, my construction helmet, I'm down low because not many people are comfortable way in the basement.
Yeah, and not only that, but a true bass is like a unicorn. You know, you'll have a lot of guys who they may be able to hold their own around that baritone range.
Right.
And then, of course, if you're coming out of the church, there's very few churches wherein they even have 4-part. You know,
absolutely true.
And what they call bass is not really bass, is baritone.
Yeah. Very true. Very true.
You know, especially in the gospel world. You know, I hate to say it, I don't want to ruffle no feathers too bad, but it's very handicapped. Right.
You know, the tenors are screaming up there, and then modulate, man. So, in fact, that's a lot of why I end up doing a lot of my church stuff in that tenor range, because I'm in praise team mode. I sing in my home church's praise team, and you know they don't have any. Nobody even thinks baritone. They don't, and they never consider bass. You got to be up there, and once you get there, you're going to get at least 3 modulations. Yeah. So it trains me and keeps my range wide. But that is out of necessity that's happened. So yeah, when I'm working and doing my piano vocal thing, I'm usually up in tenor range.
Wow. Now speaking of range, as a true bassist, what is your lowest note on the register?
I had to do a G, 2 octaves below middle C, for a guy 2 days ago. He wanted me to. I was doing some Star Spangled Banner Spangled Banner with him, and you know, I ended the tune. He was like, "Oh no, you got to go down." I'm like, "You mean the G?" He said, "Yeah," and it was like a whole no. I'm like. And you want me to hold it? What kind of lungs do you think I have? But I ended up doing it. I was right on the mic, and you know. So yeah, I can get a G now. I started out basically as getting a B flat the first project, and I was proud of myself to really give some hair on it. Then eventually got an A. Then a couple projects later, which represents 10 years, A flat. Now I'm at a G. So
wow,
that's where I am now.
Wow. Now, I know you said your daughter, she just graduated a few weeks ago, 3rd generation, Take 6 from Oakwood. Are your kids musical?
Yes. My oldest son, Channing, plays praise team. He's a keyboardist on praise team. My middle son plays this. Let me see if you can spin around. If you see that ukulele. Yeah. One of those is his, one of those is mine. My youngest son is our drummer, and he's a session vocalist. He does, one of those folders was his. He did this project this weekend, Robin Hood, that was out of New York, and he's done Jimmy Kimmel twice. He's done James I think James Coburn, the night guy. He's done. He almost did the Kobe after Kobe's passing. He was getting ready to do that. He's done a couple of movies. He's done two or three different TV shows. He has his own thing. They call him, and it was like, not for you, it's for him. And he's 9 years old, so he's coming up. He's gonna be a little beast.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, man. 9-year-old getting phone calls like
oh yeah.
And when they get done, what do you say? By the way, tell your dad Alvin.
Yeah, exactly. They tell your dad to make sure you're there on time.
Yeah, Dad. I got to go to the studio.
Right. Yeah. No, he's got his own little career. It's amazing.
Wow, man. Listen, Alvin. The website, MrBasslines.com. Mm-hmm. You have some books out there. Mm-hmm. Tell us what inspired you to not just be, Alvin Chea, the musician, the vocalist, but also the author.
Right. It was just, basically, now that you're mentioning it, a lot of the stuff that I've done is just out of necessity. When Take Six started their website, we didn't have much. Material or content, and I started writing a blog monthly, and I just wrote it. I looked up, and 2 years down the road, I had, well, I guess it was 4 years down the road, I had 30 something chapters, and I scooped them together and called it Baselines. The name of the blog was Baselines, and people were liking it and have started having its own following. And a few years later, I started doing the same thing again for my church. So I actually have enough for a Mo Baselines. And so I think I'm going to release that, but that will probably be audiobook only. Okay. And speaking of Baselines Publishing, Take Six charts are about to come out via Hal Leonard. So we've been excited about that. Worked on it for years, and it's hyper accurate. It is what we were singing. Okay. Lyrics, it's not an approximation. It is what we were singing, and that should be out very soon. I'm hoping by the summer it should be out. But we've been working on it, and I took the helm on it, and it's coming out under Hal Leonard and Baselines Publishing.
Okay, wonderful. So for all of you people that want to be able to duplicate. It's not a thing of you have to try to guess what right. Did you say? You heard Alvin, most right. of his verbiage is badoom, 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 badoom.
Right.
You'll know which badoom at the right time.
Right.
So amazing. The future for Mr. Alvin Chea over the next, let's say 24 months looks like what?
Wow. Well, I've in talks with not even in talks. We are getting ready to launch a TV show. It might start out first as a YouTube channel, but we'll see where it's going. It's the Alvin and Kenan show. My partner is there in DC, and we're working on pre-production and getting our approach and the way we're going to do it. Hence the studio lights and all of that. So look for that. Like I said, we're going to launch the Take Six charts. The official Take Six takedowns will be coming out in the next 2 or 3 months. I'm going to most likely get to Mo Baselines in the next 6 months. That's pretty much all done. It's just a question of getting it recorded, and it's a little bit, and then we'll see what the good Lord has in store. Those are my plans. We'll see what His plans are. Well, and but working hard, man. This business that we have chosen, you don't get paid because it's the 1st or the 15th. You eat what you kill, and so you just got to get out there and work. But I've been so blessed. I'm out here in Riverside, California. Okay. We have a beautiful home. We are able to go to our orchard in the backyard and squeeze our oranges and kind of be off the grid ish. But it's just believing in yourself, leaping, and remembering that success is where preparation meets opportunity.
Listen, if nothing else, that was just a word. And if that don't make you run later on, when you feel like throwing in the towel, giving up,
right?
You feel like it's too hard. Well, why does it seem like all those around me are prospering or whatever? Because listen, focus on what the good Lord has for you.
Right.
Like He said, He has His ambitions, His plans. But the good Lord, it's funny. It seems as if He works out of order,
right,
to bring order.
Right.
And in a lot of ways where we don't think of ourselves being able to accomplish. And some stuff He'll kill for us.
Right.
Allow us to ponder upon it or stumble upon it. And it's like, wow, God, so I'm excelling in this, which I've never thought. And before we end this, your initial desire, or I guess it would be thought was, as far as career wise, to do newscasting.
Yeah, yeah. I wanted to be the CBS anchorman, and ended up becoming friends with Ed Bradley, who was a mentor of mine in high school, and had a license plate that said CBS anchor. I wanted to do that, and God had other plans. He wanted me to be a news maker and not a news reporter. So I'm just trying to be obedient and learning along the way, and trying to do my best. So that's all you can do, is do your best. And I've had some wonderful, wonderful experiences meeting wonderful people like yourself along the way, and trying to pass it on to the next generation, giving back when I can.
Well, listen, brother, definitely just a privilege and an honor
Thank you,
to be able to meet you. And again, like, we spoke, a few days ago with just publicly, thanking you guys for the clip that you did for my father-in-law a few years ago. This is a pastoral anniversary. And, I'll just say this with, stumbling upon, you all, live some years back. I believe it was possibly 93, 94. You guys came to New Brunswick, New Jersey at the State Theater. And I'm originally from New Jersey. And at the time, a friend of mine, Daryl Cherry and Covenant Mass, they were going to go ahead and open up and sing, before you guys were a headliner. And I'll publicly say this now. I don't want to get nobody in trouble. I'm not going to say who, but I had a friend of mine open the side door.
You got that hookup.
And I had that other type of employee intro.
Right.
Opened the side door, and I heard you guys. So it went from just hearing the tape and the CD to actually up close, personal, and that was the first time I ever experienced feeling vocals.
Awesome.
And from then on, it was like, okay, these guys are brothers and mentors to me in my head. Like when everybody dispersed that day, I was the unofficial seventh. I
love it.
Of the group. So I always said, hey, if they ever need me to pack up the the mic and help them out, I'll do that one day. And a few years ago, I reached out to Mark. My father-in-law was having, his anniversary. And I said, let me give it a shot. And fear and faith don't coincide.
Right.
So the fear said, boy, ain't no way possible you're going to get them to do a video drop. And I said, and I just had this faith. I said, you know what? Let me just reach out. What I'm saying? I said, let me just reach out. And I reached out to Mark Kibble and said, basically, this is who I am. My father-in-law is, celebrating his anniversary. And could you guys just record a clip of one of his favorite songs, Lamb of God? And you guys were on the road. And I never forget it. Mark said, hey, man, let me see. And it was like, okay, short words. And I was like, well, hey, at least I got a response back.
Right.
And Mark hit me back and was like, check your email.
Wow.
And I checked my email, and you guys were just standing around and y'all did a clip of Lamb of God. And first of all, it brought me to my knees.
Oh man.
At that point, I just like, God, I thank you. Just for, a chance, to have you guys do something special. But like, me being a vessel to be able to bless my father.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I mean, when we showed the clip at his anniversary, I didn't tell him what I just said, I have a surprise for you.
Right.
You can tell me, I don't like surprise. No. I want a reaction.
Right.
And we had the big projector screen at the church. Everybody was there. And we had different people, over his life that, he had known to go ahead and do video drops. And I had just said, this was a very special video drop of some brothers that, I've always admired. And they just wanted to dedicate this to you. And when we played it on the big screen, my father-in-law, he's a manly man. But when I tell you, that's one of the few times I've seen him get emotional
Oh man,
Yeah,
that's
he
great.
couldn't contain it, and he was just like, all he kept saying is, "How'd you do it?" I kept saying, it was God.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That boy,
Yeah.
how that boy get them boys up there? They doing
Right.
it. And I was like, oh, yeah. But when I tell you, everyone was just like, I've never, heard that expression of music that way.
Yeah.
I mean, folks was crying, and it was just like, wow, so again, thank you.
You're welcome, man.
To the rest of the guys, all of you, thank you so much from just the act of love.
Very cool, man.
Not everybody who professes Christ displays love.
Yeah.
And true brotherhood or servanthood.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bless you, bro.
Alvin, listen, I know you got to get to work, when you got people like, Uncle Q, and Stevie and stuff like that, you rub shoulders with, like he said, you eat what you kill.
Right.
So remember that, as musicians, as fellow performing artists, but not only that, as men, we gotta kill something every day.
Right. Absolutely.
He likes to eat.
Yeah.
So Alvin, we'll let you go and get back to all the amazing things that you're doing. But listen, this is definitely not the last time.
No, absolutely.
We'll stay in touch. If it were not for this pandemic, I would have flown out to Riverside. We could have did the live interview. Then after that, I could have, brought a nice steak or something. I don't know. I don't know if you're vegan or not.
We wouldn't have even had to kill it.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Let them do their part. Let them cook it, season it, and all that, and we indulge.
Absolutely.
Greatness of a nice steak, but hey man,
rain check, brother, rain check.
Hey, rain check, definitely on me. And again, to the family, to the missus, to the children.
Absolutely.
Keep doing what you're doing as a father.
Thank you. Thank you.
As the priest of your household, as a servant of the Lord, as a brother, and definitely as a musical genius, and inspiration in your own right.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. Love you, man. And continue success and blessings on your household. Stay healthy.
Yes.
Stay healthy.
Yes, definitely. Love you too, Alvin. Okay. We'll be in touch, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Alvin Chea, go to the website, mrbateslines.com. Get the material. Stay tuned. Stay connected so that you can get all the stuff that he's doing, because you'll be hearing a lot more from him. God bless you, Alvin. Stay safe, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, brother. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.